Business development is one of the most critical activities you can do to grow your business and take it to the next level. So in this video, I'm gonna walk you through the 7 keys to business development. And I've used these strategies during my time at Oracle, at a startup, and when I'm running my own business. And I'm confident if you implement these 7 key strategies into your business and to your particular sale, you can really take your game to the next level and start selling more of your products and services. Hey, it's Patrick here. So before we get started, make sure to give this video a like, subscribe, and turn on notifications if you want to see more business development videos like this. And let me know in the comments what business development challenges you have in your business, and I can make a future video on how I can help you. Diving right into the 7 key business development strategies that you can use right away to take your business to the next level. The first key we're going to talk about is keeping your pipeline full, okay? So this means that anytime you're doing business development, whether it's doing cold outreach from cold email, LinkedIn, or cold calling, you're always trying to generate conversations with potential people you can work with. And with the key to business development is you want to keep your pipeline of business opportunities full with people that are going to take meetings with you, right? And I'll give you an example. If you're doing business development and let's say you're working on 5 business development deals. If any of these deals fall through, let's say, 5 out of 5 people decide they don't want to work with you anymore, well, you're just completely out of luck. So this is the reason for why you always got to keep your pipeline full with new opportunities, right? So if one opportunity falls through the cracks, totally fine, just replace it with another one, and you always have a consistent flow of meetings. The danger of business development is if you do not have this consistent flow of meetings, well, you have a lot of meetings at one point, and then you have no meetings, and it's like there's a roller coaster of having business and having no business. However, if you are able to keep your pipeline full at all times, and that means constantly doing prospecting activities, well, you're always going to be in good standing when it comes to having opportunities to work on and working with other businesses. Key number 2 is leveraging warm connections. Now, for me, I'm a big fan of using cold outreach, whether it's cold email, cold LinkedIn messages, or even cold calling. However, one thing I will say is that if you do have a warm introduction to someone you want to work with, you might as well use that opportunity and advantage to increase your response rate and to really get a meeting with someone you want to work with, right? It's a lot easier, obviously, to get recommended by somebody and get a meeting that way. So what you want to do is you want to leverage your second-degree connections or first-degree connections, right? So if you want to work with a company and you got a friend that works there, obviously ask a friend for a meeting. But if you want to work with somebody but you don't know anyone there, but you have a friend that might know somebody there, well, ask your friend to make that introduction. And a very easy way to find out who's connected with who is using LinkedIn second-degree connections. And all that really means is finding someone who's connected to someone you want to talk to and just reach out to your friend and say, hey, I saw that you know John. Can you make an introduction? I want to talk to him about XYZ. And if you can make that introduction, that other person is going to be a lot more likely to take your meeting. Now, you don't always have to do warm connections if you don't have any. If you don't have any, totally cool. Cold outreach still works, but if you got warm connections, leverage them. Key number 3 is to connect with decision makers. Now, I see a lot of novice business development and salespeople, they a lot of times connect with the wrong people, okay? You want to always connect with director levels and above. So that means director, VP, CEO, CMO, these type of people are the decision makers that will make the purchasing decision on, whether they want to buy something or not. And usually it's not going to be the manager. It's not going to be the individual contributor. These are people that are just executing on a day-to-day basis, and they might have some feedback for their bosses, but you really want to be talking to the boss who can make these decisions. So as you're reaching out to different people, whether it's cold or warm, make sure you're director level or above, and that's going to increase your chance of actually closing a deal, because you always want to talk to people who can buy. You don't want to talk to people who don't have any pull in an organization. Key number 4 is to identify pains in your market, right? So no matter what product or service you're selling in any industry, you really need to understand what's going on in the market today and what are the pains that people experience that you can solve. Something I always believed in is that if there is no pain, then there's going to be no sell, right? Because people don't have a motivation to buy products and services. However, if you're able to identify these pains, then it's a lot more easier to sell. For example, if you know that the travel industry or the hotel industry are not doing really well, they're having a lot of difficulty, bringing in customers and generating more revenue. If you got a way for them to generate alternative forms of revenue or get them more customers or maximize their customers, well, they're going to want to talk to you because you have a solution to their problem. So whenever you're doing any cold outreach or you're in a meeting with a potential client or customer or business development deal, ask yourself, what is the pain this person is experiencing and how can I solve that pain? You're pretty much like a doctor, right? Diagnosing the problem and then solving the problem. So if there's no pain, no sale, make sure you find the pain in your market. Key number 5 is to listen more than you speak. I know as business development and salespeople, a lot of times we want to talk a lot and pitch and in a way we kind of make a living off of speaking, right? However, the best business development people and salespeople are the ones that can listen more than they speak. So you want to make sure that when you're in a sales meeting, you are listening 20% of the time and the prospect is speaking 80% of the time, right? 80-20. And the reason is because, like I said before, you need to identify the customer's pain. So by asking the right questions, letting the prospect talk, not cutting them off, and really listening to what they have to say, you start to get an idea of what they really care about and what their problems are. So towards the end, when it's your turn to talk, you position your product and service as the solution to their pains, right? But if you reverse that and you're talking 80% of the time and the prospect's talking 20, well, they're gonna, it's just that sounds like a salesperson that won't stop talking, and we've all been there, like a used car salesman or someone trying to sell you a gym membership. They just keep talking and talking and you find yourself thinking like, dude, when is this gonna end? So don't be like that. Don't give sales and business development people a bad rap. Do it the right way. 20% speaking for a salesperson and 80% listening. Key number 6 is to control the sales cycle, right? So no matter what you're selling, you need to be in control of what happens during the meetings, when the meetings will happen, and basically the timeline on when you will close a prospect. Now, obviously prospects, everybody has their own timeline. However, once they give you the timeline of when they want to finish the deal, you have to guide them through the process and make it as easy as possible for them to buy from you, right? The more complicated you make it and the more steps and hoops they have to jump through, the less likely you are going to get the deal. So make it easy, whether it's, first meeting, right? And then second meeting, and then third meeting, which is presentation, and then fourth meeting, negotiations, and then close. Make it as simple as possible. That's just one example. Every sales cycle is a little different depending on what you're selling and who you're selling it to, but make the process as easy as possible and make sure you understand the timeline and get the prospect to follow your timeline, right? Get them to go through your process of how you sell and make it repeatable for every customer that goes through. And this is gonna dramatically increase your closing rate, because if you got a system and you know exactly how people behave in your system, it's a lot more easy to close. Key number 7 for business development is to over-deliver on what you promise. And I know as salespeople, a lot of times we want to promise the world so that we can get the deal. I totally get it. And that's okay, as long as you can actually deliver or over-deliver on what you promised. You never wanna under-deliver, because that's just bad customer service and fulfillment, and they're not gonna work with you again and they're gonna refund, right? But if you over deliver on what you promised, you're not only going to wow the customer and keep them as a customer for a longer period of time, but they're also going to recommend your products and services to their friends and their network because they're so impressed by your products and services. So whatever it is you're promising, over deliver, right? If you're generating someone revenue, generate them more than they expect. If you're saving someone's time, save them even more time than they expect, and really just wow them and blow them out the water. And that's how you create an amazing business development relationship. So with that said, those are gonna be the 7 keys to business development. Let me know in the comments which one you found most valuable and how you're gonna apply it to the real world, because I'm really curious to know how you are implementing the strategies that you learned from watching this video. And if you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, because it really does help the YouTube algorithm. And also make sure to subscribe and turn on notifications to see more videos like this. And also, if you want to learn more about business development, check out my other videos. And so with that said, my name is Patrick Dang, and I'm gonna see you guys in the next one.